Oops. I played a split second of music by accident. You know what that means? This video is instantly gone, banned, everything is over. Goodbye. Also known as hello, and welcome to the stream. So we'll say about 140. Okay, we are going to do a little bit of an update with regards to GPTP. Mostly piggybacking off of some stuff related to the glue custom junk. Just took a walk. Got my G Fuel. Ready to go. This will just be a quick one, I think. I don't know what that file is. It must be leftovers from something else. For some reason, it's not actually allowing me to see what's going on here. All right, so let me see. What we got. We're missing something here, but I don't know what it is. So 4.6 could be, I guess it's always text pause, but it might also be un46. Um, hmm. Oh. Apparently I was looking for 42 that whole time anyway. Wait, is there a 46 later on? Oh, yeah. And 42 is like SMK child or something. It's probably dialogue, though. I don't know what Iker was talking about when he said drop down as int. I don't think that's what I did anywhere. I'm pretty sure it was always listed as bin dialogue. Oh boy. Hold on. Very quick BRB, I promise. Well, that was the first package of the day. It's my computer toolkit with carrying case. Starcraft. You know how it is. So that'll be what I'll be using to put together all the pieces that are coming by pretty soon. Well, I told you that would be relatively quick. Okay, let's take a look. Let's do some Hydra planning. Oh no. Oh, never mind. I thought I closed everything by accident. What's up, Balethal? Welcome. So far, so good. We had a fun fraud morning. That actually reminds me, I have to quickly throw... Oh, yeah. What's up, Veek? Welcome. Yeah, I don't even know if there is a hacky workaround we can do for it, which is why I keep saying we should probably just get everything else taken care of in a different way. I guess that gets rid of the borders for some reason. That's really weird. I was trying to set this up so that it was a little bit more. Hey, excuse me. Delete. Oh, I guess it just goes on infinitely. Nice. Well, what logs exactly would we save in that format? Or what would you see the use case being, I guess? Well, I don't know how you would do that in C# when the plugin's in Rust. If you want to do a like a quick mock-up implementation, and we implement it and everything's working. It's not your base. It's your ally's base. Very different. Oops. I think it should only keep logs up until like the last 3 logs should probably be saved, but otherwise, yeah. I agree with that. It's pretty ridiculous that it can grow to insane lengths like what we have sometimes. It's cool that we have globals already set up in GPTP though. I guess after that it'll just be like setting up a config and actually moving everything over. We'll see how far that goes. In 2 days, I begin my journey of Ahmed's adventure development, which will be interesting. I do not know. That is a question for iQueer. It's probably like a Rust thing. Yeah. I think it was up to 6 gigs for that Pinky guy. Shockingly enough. Oh, this isn't what I wanted. I'm a goober. And I can't believe how shitty this search function is. 28th. You're a 28th. It's the 29th, bro. Yeah, I can take a look at that in a second. Let me just finish documenting all of these IDs. I already have the Clarion listed as something else, though. Oh, it's L, that's why. Not M. Wait, where is it? Which is 913. Okay. Oh, that's PP1 glow, 215. Oops. Dude, why is this so shit, man? Why? I don't understand. What is this anyway? Cyprian Shadow? Oh, I have a GRP that I haven't used. Hello? Okay, TGN Shad. Oh wait, what is this even for? Medbay Shadow. Quarry. Quarry doesn't have a shadow yet. Although apparently it's listed as NDD Shad. Which is pretty impressive. That... Are you... Wouldn't that be for the captaincy? I think that's what that is. Anyway. TBM after. 887, and that is for ion cannon. Kerrigan, DeGaulle, Zeratul, and Duran don't like this stream. I like that one. Yeah, Mixplay will be going to Twitch as far as I understand, although I don't know for sure. You know what I mean? I don't know what was going on there. NKE shed. That's for the lurker den. No, Mixer's going to Facebook. Mix Play, the soundboard thing, that software is going to be moving to Twitch. At least that's what their latest plans were. I can actually check them out right now. Actually, it looks like they just moved it over. Let's see. Commands currently don't work when using the Firebot built-in chat feed. Use regular Twitch chat instead. And of course, the company behind them, Crow Bar Tools. No, I see all these messages. I think. I mean, I didn't see Balathal's message about Degall and the gun, so that's pretty embarrassing. So I'm assuming that they don't actually have support for the soundboard part yet. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Not quite sure how they're doing it. Mixed play. It may be that mixed play itself was like the soundboard itself was the only way to do things, but oh well. They've made some progress on it, it looks like. What? Get me out of here. Yeah, there you go. Now we're really thinking. Did I do all of the shadows? I think so. Looks like it. And I got the abilities and upgrades done. Yeah. Okay. All right, I think we're good here. We can finally close the references page because we have a more easy to access and more up-to-date one right here. Downside is you need some sort of software to actually open it if you don't have Excel, but all right. So unfortunately, because it seems like we're not going to be able to extend the unit limit unless iQuare or somebody else comes up with some sort of hacky workaround to the fact that we need unit IDs. I'm sure there's probably some really hacky workaround that we could come up with, but assuming that there isn't, I'm thinking it's probably the right idea to sort of end of life Hydra as it currently stands, which just means, I mean, I don't actually know what the term end of life means for most people, but for me, I just want to get Hydra into a stable position where people are able to play the latest version without too many issues, like crashes or whatever. And after my campaign crap, which is not going to have anything to do with Hydra itself, I'm fairly confident that I will be charging full steam ahead into the actual RTS development. Right. Well, the main issue is we can't actually add new unit IDs. We can't go past the limit currently, according to what iQuare was able to find. It would take months and months of work just to find every single case of unit IDs being referenced and patch them. So it seems likely at this point, without the unit ID extender, we can't really implement Hydra, all of the Hydra tech. Maybe iQuare will still be able to do Overlord, and maybe I will still be able to do other projects, smaller scale stuff. But it certainly saps at the viability of, adding brand new races and stuff. And I think it's kind of like I don't know if it's really a wake up call per se, but it's like a revelation in that sense. You just realize it's not all it was cracked up to be in that respect. And I think that's fine. We can just get to working on the on the new engine at some point. And with any luck, we'll be able to recreate like Starcraft itself without too much trouble, is my thought process there. Which means some of the planning stuff that I'm doing here isn't really going to be that useful, as much as it is going to be a... I mean, it'll be set up for the future when we have more entries and whatnot, but... It really just depends on whether or not we come up with some sort of solution further down the line. Well, we're basically going to try to recreate StarCraft itself, like the game state of StarCraft. You know what I mean? If we can do that, I think we'll be all set. Well, I mean, for sure we can. It's just a matter of getting to the point where we're looking at it. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't actually looked at the code base for it. It doesn't look like it's even something I can... Oh, right in here, I guess. Starcraft Fraud Wars, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, basically, we would be stuck reverse engineering literally the entirety of StarCraft. Maybe we've done like 25% or something. I mean, I'm just guessing. I have no real basis to know that exact thing, but... Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even know where the first couple steps should be taken are. Like, I don't know what those steps would look like. You know, I don't know how to go from some code in Visual Studio to playable EXE, like an EXE that can launch and render a map and that stuff. Plus, we're going to need to program an actual set of editing tools and stuff. Like, we're going to need a map editor. We're going to need all of the modules that come within that. But it might be time to actually get started on game state documentation for that, believe it or not. Yeah, so I guess those would probably be the first steps. Like, we need to be able to render shit, and then we need to be able to place shit so that we can render it, or maybe the other way around, I don't know. Like, maybe we start with the tools necessary to actually place the stuff in a game world, to create a game world in the first place. I mean, I guess first we have to define the game world itself, right? We got to write the code that handles all that stuff, which seems to be partially, like, we're getting there. That's, like, clearly the first step is defining everything, creating everything, declaring everything. And then we create the tools to manipulate it, and then we make sure that we can, like, we create the stuff to render it visually. Yeah, that was another idea that I had, was like maybe we just hard code it. Now the problem is, like, OpenBW has apparently there's like a 95% complete. I don't know what the fuck this is. Like, is this even can we take a look? Do we have anything? Well, there's no link for any of it. And the last post was in June 6th. Yeah, June 6th, 2017. Okay, we found a GitHub link. Best war game. I don't know what the fuck that means. Oh, I guess the last actual commit to this was on the 12th of April, 2019. I'll just post it in the programming bin. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't know what they're using as their, I'm not sure how you would even compile it at this point. Korean.h. Right. So instructions for building. This is a fork of BWAPI, which allows the use of OpenBroodWar as a backend. Playing together with... Oh, okay, default clients, I guess. Only 1v1 games are supported. More than 2 clients cannot connect together. All right, so... Well, this is for Linux, but I don't actually know... Clone the Open Brood War repository. Oh. Yeah, well, it says for, it'll be built as part of the WAPI build process. So I think you might need to do both, but I'm not sure. Blech. 100% Java. But yeah, anyway, it's clearly not finished, and it still needs some work. But it should allow us to at least provide ourselves with a bit of a better understanding of what needs to be modified, or what we could use. We could use it as a jump-off point for the our own RTS's code base. I think we ought to do a better job than Blizzard did. So one-to-one copying or porting their game environment is dumb. I guess Open Brood War, according to iQuare, Open Brood War has no AI code. It's all done through WAPI. But most of the other things are apparently complete. I just don't know if they're one-to-one. But even if they were one-to-one, I don't know. I don't know about... Would it even make sense to... Yeah, that's basically what I'm thinking is, like, I don't know if it makes sense to copy everything. Dangerously low on water over here, boys. Water geyser depleted. All right. Yeah. Well, the issue is that you end up running down a specific direction, and you'll end up basically like fucking yourself in the long run if something fundamental or foundational to the code base is poorly done, and you've then got to spend a long time refactoring everything. It's like, while it's easier because a lot of choices have been made for you, it doesn't mean that you're going to end up with something worthwhile necessarily. That being said, it could end up being valuable experience. I don't really care about faster, but in the long run, we'll probably end up not actually being able to ship the first thing that we work on anyway. It'll probably just be something that we end up using as experience. So... since we're probably just going to ditch whatever we'd start development on and use some of the code base or some of the ideas in whatever we then buckle down on, I'll leave it up to you guys. I'm not a programmer here. You know, you guys know a lot more about this shit than I do, so. I think there's an argument to be made either way. But I can see the idea that, you know, it's not like we are not going to make some poor decisions in the early stages of development and then have to do the same refactoring that we may have to do with these guys anyway. Yeah. So if you guys can hack away at that particular repo and turn it into something that we can use for our own RTS, why not? The bigger issue is the fact that there's no AI code whatsoever. So we're going to have to program all of the AI code ourselves. That's definitely going to be a challenge. But yeah, I posted it in the programming bin if you guys want to get started on it anytime soon. I don't know. I mean, we're in the middle of we're about to start a campaign crap, so I don't know that it'll be the perfect timing, but we don't have source code though. There is no AI code in Open Brood War, as far as I understand. There is zero AI code. They all use Bwappy. Bwappy is also not anything to do with the default AI. It's C++. It's entirely external. So we have nothing to go off of besides what we've already reverse engineered. And I don't think it really is something that we should do in the first place. I think we should just develop our own system. I mean, we're starting from scratch in essence. Fuck reverse engineering their AI. Their AI has so many problems with it. The default AI, I mean, I'm not interested in Bwappy either, really. But we could even theoretically use their source code for the AI as well if we wanted to. It's just a matter of deciding what we want to do. So we need to spend a good couple of weeks exploring their code and figuring out what needs to be modified and all that other stuff. Yeah, so this can be something that we revisit, I think, like at the end of the year, basically. Because campaign crap will be over in October. I'll still probably be working on my campaign after that within the goal of releasing an updated version by the end of the year. So, you know, come November, December, we should be able to revisit this sort of idea by then. Yeah. And this can be like a nice sort of last hurrah for Brood War in theory. Although, I guess if we're just going to be recreating everything and having an open source, quote unquote, reverse engineered thing, the way that Open Brood War is done, then maybe it doesn't matter that much. Yeah, that's why you just got to pull the trigger on a decision. Well, I'm all for the idea that we should be loading these files in. I'm all for the idea that we just add it to the editor or something as a file, and then relaunch the map. But we can figure out the more. Well, we can figure out the specifics of that later on. Well, if we're defining the scripting language, wouldn't we have the most control, assuming we did it right? Or is it that there's too many failure points in it, or what? Okay, why? You've said this 100 times now. Explain it to a non-programmer why we would have less control with our own system. I think we should just try something that seems entry level enough that we can do, that seems within reach, and decide based on how that performs with everything else whether or not it's something we want to, continue to explore. Like give it a good couple test runs, basically. Are you talking like practically speaking? It would be foolhardy to attempt to make your own programming language because it's a lot of effort or something. Well, I think the problem with C sharp is more related to its performance, I would imagine, but I don't actually know whether or not that even matters when it comes to just using it for AI scripting or triggers or, something like that. I have zero experience with C sharp, but if Veek and Spider who do have experience with C sharp can swear by it as a potential, and like I said, like we should just try shit and see what it works. I'm open to trying quite a bit of stuff. It's a really exciting prospect, though. I think we give it a shot. We see how it works. Just the idea that we don't have to worry about like ripping apart multiple plugins just to add a function for AI scripting, like to build in a certain area or whatever, is pretty fucking nice. I do like pointers. All right, that's it for the design talk for me, at least for the second, because I got to use the bathroom and get more water. BRB. Hi. I've returned. Yeah, that's the other thing, is if all we're doing is calling low-level functions, I think it's super easy to pretty much use whatever. Thinking emoji. So I guess I should ask, does anybody have an idea for workarounds for the unit IDs in the meantime? Or should we even bother exploring that if we're just going to fuck off and start whatever it's called? You know what I mean. Hey, that's the other interesting thing about this Open Brood War solution. I'll actually be able to reuse all of the tileset graphics and custom graphics and... Oh, there's no way to extend unit IDs the same way we extended all of the other data entries. So there was talk of a hacky workaround solution to basically creating a virtual list of unit IDs or something like that. But I can't think of anything that would work in that regard, so... Yeah, he said it would take 3 months just to get everything done, and that's if like multiple people were working on it all the time. Right, so we could do like Hydra, whatever, like Hydra Paladin or something. Yeah, well, it's like you could spend that effort on other shit that would be more useful, like making your own set of stuff. Where's my tar cliff blend? Do I even have it? No, here it is. Way at the fucking bottom. Oh, I guess I should do the tile set setup. Yeah, well, the idea is that the unit IDs higher than the max unit IDs entry or whatever, that would not be called. But yeah, I mean, I guess functions referencing the unit ID, yeah, that would definitely be pretty bad. So there's 227 unit IDs, and there's a lot of calls for 228 being, if the unit ID is greater than this, return like basically a failsafe that says never process commands for, you know, it also uses it as like a null check. So if there's no units or whatever, you know what I mean? Like similar kind of fucking thing, unfortunately. Why are there all of these random orange bits? Well, we're masking it all out anyway, but I would still like to know. Sure, Icor will be very happy with me for doing this tile set work. Ah! But I'm glad you guys are on board with the idea of moving to a new, more open source environment. I know it sounds crazy, but there are those people out there that would prefer to remain in the Dark Ages and stick with this shit that we're dealt with, or that we have dealt with for years and years and years. Oh, I agree. It's just that it's a lot safer to more or less remain in mediocrity. You know what I mean? Like, you can always make some kind of project in Brood War. Might not be what you were originally dealing with before, but you know, just the whole idea of like making compromises for the sake of getting something done. You know what I mean? And I think there's a time and place for that idea, that mentality, but I think it's run its course, you know? Like, I'm much more interested in making my own stuff that doesn't have the same, that doesn't suffer from the limitations of Brood War. That's, you're really getting destroyed over there. Unfortunately. Oh, cool. I should be able to copy over the lower layers of this stuff from the doodads thing that I did recently. I have zero experience with either of them. Either of those libraries. Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue with large projects is that you can very easily lose sight of what it is you are trying to do. So it's very easy to allow yourself to get hit with a bunch of ideas and then charge forward with those ideas, like feature creep and stuff. But it's also really well, I'm not really sure what the best way to conceptualize it is, but I think people get this big idea and then they don't do anything with it after trying to start because they're too transfixed on how slow progress is relative to the giant goal. So in that sense, you can focus on a small goal, sub goal of whatever your project is, like having one map or adding one new unit or writing one character's arc or whatever. You know, it depends on what you're actually doing. So you can do all that. And that can give you a real good understanding of what you actually need. Wait, what did I just grab? Oh, grab. Great. Exactly what I was looking for. So, in that way, oops. It's definitely easy to like get lost if you don't have a concrete goal beneath what you're actually doing. So yeah, I would say setting smaller goals can definitely assist. I would also say, by the same token, you don't want to run into situations where you never really make any progress on the main thing because you lost sight of it. You know what I mean? Like you got so caught up in finishing something small, and that's where I think feature creep comes from, that you didn't manage to do much else. It's like you need to be able to focus on one smaller thing while also conceptualizing the end goal and the reason why you're doing that small thing. So, like, I would give an example of a hook that I'm writing in GPTP or something. When I sit down to write that hook, it motivates me to know that I'm writing that hook for a specific reason. And that reason may be adding AI personalities to a drop-down menu that people can pick from. And then I know that that's a component of having Hydra be feature complete. So in that sense, I'm motivated to do something that I can do, that I am capable of doing in short order. I'm motivated to do that small thing, writing the hook, because it will lead to a feature that is going to take more time to complete, but will still be important. And I'm motivated because of the feature, right? And then I'm motivated to do any of that, to even think about the feature, because it's going to lead to the project itself becoming feature complete. And so that segmentation of priorities and motivations, that's what allows me to get up every single day and work on something like Hydra. Is that, and even that is part of a larger picture of, I want to make my own game, and so this is really good experience working with level design and getting experience like dealing with other people's tools so that I know what to do when I'm trying to get my own tools set up and that sort of thing, so that I can make my own RTS in the future. Now it seems to be the future is now or soon, and being able to come away from that and feel like, okay, yeah, this is an environment where, I can feel good about the work that I'm doing, so the even beyond Hydra, the larger goal is to have my own environment where I can make, RTS game play and produce RTS content without the engine limitations of Brood War. And even that goal is like, well, I want to produce content that will challenge me and improve me as both a developer and a player. and hopefully other people are going to tag along and not only assist with it, but just in general play the content and feel like, enjoy it, find some value in it. And that is a subset of me just wanting to be a better human being and leave the earth in a better place that I found it. And of course, also want to have some of my own selfish joy along the way. And so yeah, you can see where there's like a huge number of different things that are at play there. But that's more or less what I've been trying to underscore this entire time. Is that it's a very long list of justifications. Does not progress you even. You would make it just a tad little bit better, yeah. Well, this is one of those examples, like I was first interested in revisiting in Consummate because like Necron told me that I should go back and update it because I could make it a little bit better. And I was like, well, I'm kind of moved on from it. Like, I don't really care that much about it. But, this is like less than a year after release. So I was like, I can already see the flaws in it. Maybe it would pay to critically re-examine it, but I don't know about updating it. And so I started making some small updates here and there. And I was like, well, it's just not my style to make some like work on stuff that's not going to actually improve me as a developer, right? And that's what I would look at that as, like, just tweaking shit at this point is not like, it's already a project that's been released. It's had its hype cycle. It's had its time in the spotlight. Updating it at this point feels kind of weird. It's not a multiplayer thing. It's entirely a single player campaign. Yeah, I could definitely improve a lot of things about it, but I don't know what the justification or motivation of it would be in that sense. So, like, I basically came to the conclusion, if you will, that, if that's something that I'm going to do, it should be something that I should take seriously, and that's why I decided to make the campaign so much more involved, the update to the project so much more involved than it actually ended up being originally. Like, originally it was just supposed to add a little bit more, like, add better support for, like, better AI. Clean up some things about it, maybe do some new voice acting or whatever. And that was it. And obviously that eventually turned into like, oh, I'll add like a new mission maybe or something. And then, yeah, one thing led to another. And now it's just been in dev hell for a while. Can't believe Blizzard just fucking mirrored these. And of course I can believe it, but they didn't even organize them properly. They were that lazy. Good catch. Well, I think a lot of people don't allow themselves to become creatively minded, so that probably plays some part in it. Oh, wait. I don't really need to worry about that, do I? I am relatively satisfied with the, amount of people generally seem to be interested and enjoying the game state itself. So I'm happy about that, and I'm glad that, it's offering entertainment to people. If anything, it certainly helps me. It reaffirms me that I'm on the right track here. But that doesn't mean that I can't make significant improvements to the workflow that I have, and that's the main reason why I'm finding it attractive to switch over. And I think I'll deliver one last homage to Brood War's design, right? It's my time with it or whatever, and that'll be the Ahmed's Adventure project that I'll work on for my campaign crap. But even that seems like it'll have to be scaled back a little bit more compared to what I was originally thinking of doing. I won't be able to add arbitrary numbers of units. So as a result, honestly, that might even make it easier to do, though. I mean, I was originally going to be adding a bunch of new races and stuff. That no longer seems to be feasible, so I think the project will be even simpler. Just get a couple of new, significant tech tree changes or whatever, but a couple of new units here and there. Might even end up being a lot of extended upgrades, like new upgrades for individual races or whatever. But you know it's not looking too hot when your fucking small scale homage campaign is in needing of downsizing. You know, it's a little crazy that we find ourselves in that position. I should ask DF how the ramps are going. I'm gonna need some north-facing compound ramps and sandy sunken pit ramps. Have you decided what your stuff is going to be, Balethal? Are you going to be doing a project out of your Halo mod or something like that? Well, I could do something like that, but I would probably be done super soon. Which might also be fine. I might honestly look into making something out of the Hydra game state. It really depends on what I feel like doing. Because now that I'm thinking about it a bit more, and if I can't do all the custom race stuff that I was originally planning on doing, I'm not sure if Ahmed's Adventure would really sit too well with me in that state. It feels like it would have to be butchered quite a bit. Oh. So we'll see what happens. Could always do the deer fucker stuff. That wasn't really planned to be a campaign per se, but yeah, it's the number of unit IDs. I wouldn't be able to, like, even cannibalizing a bunch of shit that I didn't need for the campaign, I would run out so quickly. I think the first mission has 2 factions. Oh no, it has. So the first mission actually has 4 factions on display, but you know, some of them are kind of standard, but it's like it's got 3 completely unique factions that are like that would have been brand new in theory, and they would have required a whole lot of junk to implement. And that's just the first map, so obviously I had plans to go much, you know, more in depth. I wanted to have like, you know, 4 different you know, sub factions or whatever you would call them for each race, probably, to the point where you'd be looking at all sorts of crazy stuff. I could downsize it to just be a couple of new units and stuff for each race, but I don't know, that just doesn't feel very good. And as far as how fast I could make one mission, I mean, I don't think yeah, I don't think it would take me very long at all. I think it would be maybe like a week for the first map to be in the testing phase. Probably only take me a couple of days to finish the outline and get like all the units pre-placed and start on the AI. So then obviously fairly basic stuff, so. Yeah, it's worthwhile for practicing your skills. You still want to be able to say like, here's what I'm practicing with purpose or whatever. So I'm going to make a melee map that has these characteristics, stuff like that. But now what? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I think it just makes sense to actually do something in the Hydra game state. But I don't really know what it would be, is the problem. And I would probably want to implement shit like champions or something. Like, everything that I can think of for, like, I would have to think of something very specific in order to come up with shit that wouldn't bother me that it's not working properly, or that it's limited in some way. Yeah, that's the other reason. The other limited utility of that approach is when you just absolutely need something. Yeah, we're gonna need to do some work on some of these. Well, I gotta pee again, so PRB. I am back. Oh, yeah. Oh no, it's got to update files, guys. But why would it take so long? I never figured it out if it was artist name or album artist. I guess it would be contributing artist would be the... I don't get it. For whatever reason, it takes longer to process these and add flags to them because they're huge. They're like FLAC files or whatever. It seems a little odd. All right, well, after this, I'm going to have to run them through the replay gain thing. This is just to remind me that I gotta fill these up later. Okay. Whenever this is done. I guess I could start blocking out the some story ideas for whatever I'm going to be doing for campaign crap. A couple days early, but all y'all started before the actual event. I know it. Not like a couple extra days are going to make a huge amount of difference in a 3-month-long contest, though, so I'm not really that concerned. To say. Made a bit of progress over here. Yeah. I just know. It's not because I'm a ghost. I found a copy of the script on the ground. I get to kill him later in the campaign, don't worry. It's in the sequel. And besides, I know you're into monster girls. Everything will be fine. A formidable... You know what I mean? Or what is she said formidable. That was the best take that they had. Very unfortunate. I wish they deleted her from the story. I mean, they kind of did, but not forever. I wonder if once we end up sinking our teeth into the open brood war code and we have our own thing operational, if it'll be all that difficult to set up a, what do you call it? Like our own editor, basically. Like, will it be easier to get more stuff taken care of in MapQuare or whatever? I don't know the answer to that, but is a question I am willing to look into for sure. Highly motivated to drum up a new editor somehow. I would hope so, yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the file formats will be thrown out when we get to that phase. Just by virtue of them, like, odds are they're not going to be particularly useful. Oh, okay. Well, I love me some phone calls. One sec. All right. Tech support. Everything good? We're back. All right. I think, I definitely lost all interest in doing this one right now. It's going to be a lot of work to finish this up. So I think we'll leave it the place that we got it to. Seems all right. And we'll come back and smash out the rest of this stuff. Basically, I'll clean up the whole top part, and then I'll mirror this stuff down to the bottom parts down here to make sure that it's all the same. Same thing that I did with the higher dirt cliffs. And then I don't really know what I'll do over here, but this will be useful for tarred cliff blending, so I definitely want to do it. I guess I'll just be mirroring stuff and then masking out whatever I don't need. Similar process. And then after all that's done, it's just the upper shit, which should be a little bit more involved as well, but not the end of the world. So this will probably be a multi-day project where I work on it for like an hour or whatever each time. I don't know how long I was working on it today, but we got some progress, which is what counts. Okay, so I should probably check out over here. If I was a real man, I would commit to remaking and consummate. Could you imagine? Let me just do that. I guess the main issue with that is I would probably want to do the doodads. But if I already have the game state and I have rough cut AI, like the blank slate AI, it would really just be about making the maps. I guess I would have to make them from scratch to avoid it being in violation of the rules, because I already had one map already partially made. But I know a lot of that stuff was going to be redrafted anyway, and I don't see why it shouldn't be either. So I think like the biggest issue with a fair bit of that was there were some problems there. I'll put it to you that one. That and the campaign kind of assumed that there was going to be like a whole set of like a music system developed, more Hydra new game state tech, that I was going to be able to get custom portraits and graphics and stuff in certain cases. Yeah, so I don't think that's a legitimate one. Of course, Bloodfaust was a little bit more free form in that sense. Oh no! The first mission of this campaign was supposed to be a 30-minute micro map. Hey, the fuck? Get out of here. Hmm. You know what's really funny about revisiting this plan is how grounded it is in the very basic default campaign style, for lack of a better term. Like, it's really hard to look at this and conceptualize it as anything other than a generic campaign where you've got very small self-contained maps and stuff. And this is just assuming I'm reading into a lot of the plans. I didn't leave myself a huge amount of information as to what the mission planning was. It's more story planning, which is actually not bad. I can use this as a way to significantly modify stuff. If anything, the gameplay items would be more like superfluous, so it wouldn't really be that useful. So. Ah! It happened again, dude. I wonder why. It wasn't happening for a while. Oh, maybe because it wasn't actually maximized? That is really weird. I don't fucking know. I guess the main issue that I'm having with looking at a lot of this is I'm not seeing. Maybe I left this planning somewhere else and it's not in the same spot. But I'm not seeing a whole lot of a justification for some of the missions themselves. I like how all of the character descriptions, well, pretty much all of the character descriptions for Ahmed's adventure characters are just fucking nothing. That's pretty good. They're just inside jokes, like a series of confusing in jokes. What's up, Wolf the Noob? Yeah, I've been planning this one for a while. I'm just finally writing out some of the stuff. Can you somehow dynamically manage how much supply a player can have in a map? I think you can modify max supply. I actually benefited pretty heavily by other people making a tool called Firegraft, which allows you to generate a custom EXE, which will then inject all of your customized code and all that stuff into the Brood War process. So I'm building on top of the progress made by other people when it came to that. That was a process for only 1.16.1. You can generate EXEs using Sumace for Remastered, but Remastered is very, very limited with what you can do by comparison to what you can do in 1.16.1. So now I've been doing a lot of reverse engineering to add functionality to custom plugins that will add different things. For example, there's an upgrade in Inconsummate's final mission that gives Goska detection status. That was achieved by reading an unused upgrades definition and making a modification to the units the loaded data file. Basically, it was kind of a hacky workaround, but it worked in that particular context, and that was achieved through that manner, basically. So that's all through customized plugins, which generally are not freeform at all when it comes to remastered. So. That wasn't as much reverse engineering as it was just C++ coding in an environment where people had already done a lot of reverse engineering. But there was a little bit of that. I would say if you're trying to do something similar, I mean, you can just have your own EXE, right? If you're trying to do similar stuff to adding new units and whatnot, I would recommend checking out the general plugin template project, which you can find in the modding starter guide on my Wikidot. There's a link to it. You can check it out and see what people have done and basically take a look at what it actually consists of. And most of it will allow you to simply write added functionality within the hooks that they've already produced. Those coders have already produced. I've been writing my own hooks for functions that we don't have translations for in the current setup. So that's one of the things that I've been doing recently, but that's certainly not necessarily required if you're just trying to make a campaign. Like for something as simple as Inconsummate ended up being, there were some things that needed to be done to the engine, like extending the number of tileset files you could have, tileset data you could store inside the tileset. That was pretty much it. That and a little bit of C++ programming got me all the way to the point where the project was complete. Of course, since then, I've wanted to make something much better than it. So I've done various drafts of like remaking the entire thing using much more advanced technology. But it seems like that will continue to remain a pipe dream until we get our own RTS environment up and running, and then I can adapt it to a different setting and stuff like that. So. But to answer Veek's question over in the YouTube chat, let me take a look at the extended AI command guide. I'll take a look at the supply. Oh, cool. The keyboard's on the way too. Epic. Yeah, so you can modify the max supply of a certain race to something higher than 300 by doing set 250 max or set 300 max or whatever you wanted to do. It would be done through AI script. I could achieve something like this through a trigger or something, but it would have or a trigger block in the AI script, but it would have to be run for like I don't even know which AI scripts are hard coded to be able to run for players besides the share vision ones. So, yeah, I guess I'll have to wait and see what you need precisely. Another weird aspect of this campaign's outline was I was originally having you shift between. It was like every single mission was a new perspective, but there was this one part where you play as the Zerg for 2 missions in a row, and that's the only time that happens. I'm not really sure what I was thinking about that. So yeah, there's probably going to be some modifications here. What do you mean by very gimmicky? Oh, as in reducing the amount that you have for the other players. I don't know that you should reduce the other players' amounts. Maybe if you made the map as like big as possible, it would be a little bit more. Like if you made it a 256 by 256 map and had a bunch of bases, that would help justify having max supply for them, but then like 900 supply or 1200 max supply for the main enemy guy. Though I don't know how I don't know if there's a limit to what actual max supply can be done. Right now the limit is only that it's only that number in Hydra because if I let it go higher, we would hit CCMU a lot quicker. Is what I was thinking. My concern is 150 supply is pretty small. I mean, it's even less than you get in vanilla. So you can certainly experiment. That's that's something that I would always encourage in that sense. Hey. I actually do have a portrait for him that I can upload now that I think about it. Huh. I guess I had one for Elganor too. It's a placeholder at best, but... Okay. I think I'll do it, leave it there. Should be just fine for now. We'll see where we go. Still rather uncertain as to what I'm going to be focusing on, but I guess I got a couple of days to figure it out before I really have to start anything. So at the very least, I've gotten documentation done for that page, even if I don't end up doing it. So I will do some soul searching. And when I return tomorrow for another mod stream, maybe I'll have made determinations. You're going to have to stay tuned to figure it out. As always, thanks for hanging. I will probably try to write some more stuff in the forum for that SCLP roundup recap thing. So check that out if you haven't already. Balefall saw it, but I don't know if anybody else has. We'll see. Thanks everybody who hung out today. Thanks for the frauds. Thanks for the mods. See you later.